The Tennessee sun hung low, painting the rolling hills outside Nashville in hues of gold and pink. Miley Cyrus, barely 20, stood on the porch of her family's sprawling ranch, her bare feet cool against the weathered wood. She wore ripped jeans and a faded t-shirt, her hair a wild tangle of brown waves. The world knew her as Hannah Montana, the Disney darling with a double life. But out here, she was just Miley, restless, raw, and ready to burn it all down. Inside, the house was quiet, save for the faint strum of her dad's guitar from the living room. Billy Ray Cyrus was always tinkering with a melody, but Miley wasn't in the mood for nostalgia. Her phone buzzed relentlessly on the porch railing. Texts from her manager, emails about tour schedules, and a flurry of notifications from fans who still saw her as a glittery teen idol. She ignored them all, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The world felt too small, too scripted, and she was itching to break free. It wasn't that she hated Hannah Montana. That role had given her everything: fame, money, a platform. But it was a cage, too, one she'd outgrown faster than anyone realized. The scripts, the wigs, the saccharine pop songs, they weren't her anymore. She'd spent her teenage years playing a part, and now, with her Disney contract in its final days, she could taste freedom. But freedom came with a price, and Miley wasn't naive. She knew the world was watching, waiting for her next move, ready to judge. She grabbed her journal from the porch swing, its pages dog-eared and filled with scribbled lyrics. The words were messy, unpolished, but real. Songs about love, rebellion, and the ache of becoming someone new. She'd been sneaking into Nashville studios at night, working with producers who didn't treat her like a kid. The music she was making wasn't Hannah's bubblegum pop. It was gritty, electric, with a pulse that matched her racing heart. She called it her reckoning, a sound that would scream Miley to anyone who listened. That morning, she'd gotten a call from her agent, Karen, about a meeting with a big-shot label exec in L.A. They wanted to hear her new demos, but Karen's voice had a warning edge. "They're not ready for this, Miley. It's different. You sure you want to go this route?" Miley had laughed, her drawl sharp. "Hell yeah, I'm sure. They don't like it, they can kiss my ass." Karen sighed, but didn't argue. No one could stop Miley when her mind was set. Now, as the sun dipped below the hills, Miley felt a spark of doubt. She'd seen what happened to other teen stars who tried to reinvent themselves: train wrecks, tabloids, public meltdowns. The thought made her stomach twist. She wasn't afraid of falling, but she didn't want to be a punchline. She wanted to be heard. Her fingers traced the journal's pages, landing on a line she'd written last night. "I'm not your doll. I'm not your dream / I'm the fire in the in-between." A truck rumbled up the driveway, kicking up dust. It was Liam Hemsworth, her boyfriend, his easy grin visible through the windshield. He stepped out, all Australian charm in a flannel shirt, and leaned against the porch railing. "You look like you're plotting a revolution," he teased, his accent curling around the words. "Maybe I am," Miley shot back, a smirk tugging at her lips. She didn't tell him about the demos, the meeting, or the fear gnawing at her. But as he pulled her into a hug, she felt a flicker of courage. This was just the beginning. She'd take her music, her truth, and her reckless heart to L.A. and let the world deal with it. Los Angeles was a beast, all concrete and ambition, swallowing the stars above. Miley Cyrus sat in the back seat of a sleek black SUV, her fingers drumming on her leather-clad thigh as the city blurred past. At 20, she felt like a stranger in her own life. Just days ago, she'd been barefoot on her family's Tennessee porch, dreaming of a new sound. Now, she was here, in the belly of the music industry, about to pitch her demos to a room full of suits who probably still saw her as a Disney princess. The RCA Records building loomed ahead, a glass tower that screamed money and power. Miley adjusted her oversized sunglasses, her heart pounding beneath a ripped black tank top and studded boots. Her journal, stuffed with her raw, rebellious lyrics, was tucked into her bag like a grenade ready to go off. She'd spent weeks in Nashville studios, pouring her soul into tracks that mixed pop's shine with rock's grit and a defiance all her own. This wasn't Hannah Montana's music. It was Miley, unfiltered. Her agent, Karen, sat beside her, scrolling through emails. "These execs are old school, Miley," she warned, her voice low. "They want safe. Your demos, they're bold. Maybe too bold. Miley smirked, her Tennessee drawl cutting through. Good. I ain't here to play safe, Karen. They don't get it. I'll find someone who does. Karen sighed but didn't push. She knew Miley's stubborn streak was a force of nature. Inside the conference room, the air was sterile, the table gleaming under fluorescent lights. 3 execs, 2 men in crisp suits and a woman with a tight smile, greeted her with handshakes that felt like calculations. Miley sat down, her boots scuffing the polished floor, and slid her demo USB across the table. "This is me," she said simply, her voice steady despite the nerves clawing at her gut. "Play it." The first track, Wrecking Ball, filled the room. It started soft, a vulnerable pulse, then exploded into a raw, soaring anthem of love and destruction. Miley watched the execs' faces, stone cold, unreadable. The second track, We Can't Stop, was a defiant party banger, its beat unapologetic, its lyrics a middle finger to anyone trying to tame her. By the time it ended, the woman exec raised an eyebrow. "This is the departure," she said, her tone clipped. "Your fans expect wholesome. This is real." Miley cut in, leaning forward. "My fans grew up, same as me. They don't want bubblegum. They want truth." Her drawl thickened, her eyes blazing. The older suit, a guy named Richard, chuckled, but it wasn't kind. "Truth's great, kid, but it don't sell arenas. You're risking your brand." Miley's jaw tightened. She'd expected pushback, but hearing it stung. She thought of Liam back in Tennessee, his easy faith in her, and her dad's late-night guitar strums. They believed in her. She had to believe in herself. "My brand's whatever I make it," she said, standing. "You don't want this, fine. I'll find a label that does." The room went quiet. Karen shot her a panicked look, but Miley was already grabbing her bag. As she reached the door, the woman exec spoke up. "Wait, let's talk." Miley turned, her smirk back in place. They spent the next hour hashing it out. Her vision, their doubts, a deal that gave her creative control. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Outside, the L.A. sun burned her skin as she lit a cigarette, her hands shaky with adrenaline. She'd done it, taken her first real step toward being Miley Cyrus, not Hannah Montana. But the exec's words echoed, "You're risking your brand." She exhaled smoke, her eyes on the city's haze. Risk was all she had, and she was ready to bet it all. The L.A. night pulsed with chaos, neon lights bleeding into the smoggy sky. Miley Cyrus, now 21, stood backstage at a packed Hollywood club, the bass from the opening act rattling her bones. Her heart thumped louder than the music. Tonight was her first live performance of tracks from her upcoming album, Bangerz, the one she'd fought tooth and nail for with the RCA execs. The crowd out there, fans, critics, and industry vultures, didn't know what was coming. Neither did she, not really. She adjusted her outfit, a daring mix of leather and glitter that screamed rebellion. Her hair was freshly chopped into a platinum pixie cut, a middle finger to the long, wholesome locks of her Disney days. She felt electric, alive, but a knot of fear twisted in her gut. The demos she'd played in that sterile boardroom had been polished into anthems, but the world wasn't ready for this Miley, raw, unapologetic, and a little reckless. She wasn't sure if she was ready either. Her phone buzzed in her hand. A text from Liam Hemsworth. "You got this, rockstar. Break their hearts." She smiled, but it faded fast. Things with Liam were shaky lately. He loved her, but the spotlight she was stepping into wasn't his world. He'd stayed back in Tennessee, giving her space to chase this dream, but the distance, physical and emotional, was starting to show. She shoved the phone into her pocket and took a swig of water, wishing it was whiskey. Her manager, Karen, poked her head through the curtain. 5 minutes, Miley. Place is packed. You ready?" Miley's lips curled into a smirk, her Tennessee drawl sharp. "Born ready, Karen. Let's make him scream." Karen nodded, but her eyes held worry. The buzz online was brutal, tweets calling Miley desperate for attention, blogs predicting a flop. The execs had warned her, lean too far into this edgy vibe, and she'd alienate her fan base. But Miley didn't care about safe bets anymore. The stage lights flared as she strode out, the crowd roaring, a mix of cheers and curious murmurs. The opening chords of We Can't Stop blasted through the speakers, and Miley let loose, her voice gritty and defiant. She danced like the world was watching, because it was, every move bold, every lyric a dare. The crowd ate it up, phones flashing, but she could feel the judgment in the air. Halfway through Wrecking Ball, her voice cracked on a high note, raw with emotion. The room went wild, but she felt exposed, like she'd bared too much. Backstage after the set, sweat-soaked and buzzing, Miley checked her phone. The internet was already exploding. Clips of her performance were trending, but the comments were a battlefield. Miley's lost it. What happened to Hannah? Versus this is her best yet. Queen. Her heart sank at a headline. Miley Cyrus goes too far? Career suicide? Karen handed her a towel, her voice gentle. You did good out there. But brace yourself. They're gonna come for you. Miley tossed the towel aside, her drawl thick with defiance. Let em. I ain't hiding no more. But alone in her dressing room, the bravado slipped. She stared at her reflection, sharp cheekbones, smudged eyeliner, a stranger's face. The girl from Tennessee felt far away, and so did Liam's steady presence. She pulled out her journal, scribbling a new lyric. They want my soul, but I'm keeping the spark. The words felt like armor, but they couldn't block the doubt creeping in. As she stepped into the L.A. night, paparazzi cameras flashed like gunfire. Miley pulled her jacket tight, her mind racing. She'd started this fire, but could she handle the burn? The world was watching, and she had no choice but to keep swinging. The Malibu beach house was quiet, save for the waves crashing outside. Miley Cyrus, 21, sat cross-legged on the floor of her living room, surrounded by scattered Polaroids and empty wine glasses. The room smelled of sage and salt air, a faint attempt to cleanse the chaos of the past few weeks. Her Bangerz album had dropped, and the world was screaming, some with love, some with hate. The headlines were relentless, Miley's meltdown or Pop's new rebel. She wanted to shake things up, but this felt like a hurricane. Her phone glowed with notifications she hadn't touched in days. Twitter was a war zone, fans chanting her name, haters calling her a sellout, and tabloids spinning stories about her wild behavior. That club performance, with its leather and twerking, had gone viral, and not always in a good way. She'd meant to own the stage, to show the world the real Miley, but now she felt like a lightning rod for judgment. Even her label was nervous, scheduling crisis meetings to manage the narrative. Miley lit another sage bundle, her hands trembling slightly. She wasn't scared of the noise, she'd expected it, but the silence in her personal life hurt more. Liam Hemsworth hadn't called since the performance. He'd texted once, "Kurt, we need to talk," and then nothing. Their relationship had been fraying for months, stretched thin by her reinvention and his discomfort with the spotlight. She missed his steady presence, but she couldn't go back to being the girl he'd met on a movie set. That girl was gone. Her journal lay open on the coffee table, lyrics scrawled in furious black ink. I'm a flame. I'm a flood. I'm the truth in my blood. Writing was her lifeline, but even that felt heavy tonight. She'd poured her heart into Bangerz, blending pop, hip-hop, and raw emotion. But the backlash made her question everything. Was she pushing too far? Too fast? Her dad's voice echoed in her head, from a call earlier that day. You're doing you, Mile. But don't lose you in the process. Easier said than done. A knock at the door snapped her out of it. It was Tish, her mom, carrying a bag of takeout and a bottle of wine. Figured you could use some company, Tish said, her southern warmth cutting through the gloom. Miley managed a smile, her drawl soft. You psychic or something, mama? They sat on the floor, eating tacos and sipping wine, the ocean's rhythm grounding them. Tish didn't sugarcoat it. The world's always gonna talk, baby. You can't control that. But you control what you make next. Miley nodded, her mind racing. Tish was right. She couldn't stop the critics, but she could keep creating. She thought about the next album, already taking shape in her head, something even bolder, maybe with a rock edge. She'd prove she wasn't a one-trick pony, that she could evolve without breaking. But Liam's silence gnawed at her. She wanted to call him, to explain, but pride held her back. Instead, she grabbed her guitar, strumming a rough melody that felt like defiance. As Tish left, Miley stepped onto the balcony, the Pacific stretching endless before her. The tabloids could scream, the fans could cheer or boo, but she was still standing. Her phone buzzed, a text from her producer, Jack, about a new studio session. Got a riff you'll love, it read. Miley's lips curved into a grin, her drawl whispering to the night. Hell yeah, I'm ready. She wasn't just surviving the storm, she was becoming it. The Nashville studio was a cocoon of dim lights and cigarette smoke, a far cry from L.A.'s glossy chaos. Miley Cyrus, 21, leaned against a worn couch, her boots scuffed from pacing. The Bangerz tour was in full swing, and she'd snuck back to Tennessee for a rare night off to record new material. Her platinum hair was tucked under a baseball cap, her eyes tired but fierce. The world was still reeling from her album. Love it or hate it, Bangerz was a cultural earthquake. But Miley was already chasing the next sound, something rawer, something that cut deeper. Her producer, Jack, twirled a pen, eyeing the soundboard. "You sure about this one, Miley? It's out there." The track they'd been working on, Shatter, was a beast, grunge guitars, haunting vocals, lyrics about breaking free from everyone's expectations, including her own. It wasn't Bangerz 2.0. It was a glimpse of the artist she'd become a decade later. Miley's drawl was sharp as she grinned. "Out there's my kind of place, Jack. Crank it up." She stepped into the booth, the mic a lifeline. As the track played, her voice poured out like whiskey, smooth, then burning. "I'm the crack in your glass. I'm the truth you can't face." Each line felt like a confession, ripping open the scars of the past year. Tabloid wars, fan backlash, and the growing chasm between her and Liam Hemsworth. They'd barely spoken since her L.A. performance went viral. He'd called once, voice heavy with frustration. "I don't know who you're trying to be, Miley." She'd hung up, her heart cracking but her resolve ironclad. The session stretched past midnight, Miley pushing through take after take. Jack's excitement grew with each one, but she felt the weight of it all. The tour was grueling, sold-out shows, screaming fans, and paparazzi tailing her every move. She loved the stage, the rush of owning a crowd, but off-stage, she was unraveling. Her journal, now a battered companion, held new lyrics about love slipping away and the cost of freedom. She wondered if Liam would ever understand this version of her. Her phone buzzed as she stepped out for air. A text from her mom. "Tish, saw the show clips. You're killing it, baby. Don't let the noise get you." Miley smiled faintly, but the noise was loud. Social media was a circus. Some called her a genius, others a train wreck. A new headline stung. Miley's party life. Out of control? It was bullshit, but it sold clicks. She lit a cigarette, the Nashville skyline glittering in the distance. She wasn't out of control, just out of their boxes. Jack joined her outside, offering a beer. "You're starting something big, you know that?" he said. Miley shrugged, her drawl soft but fierce. "Big or broke, I'm doing it my way." She meant it, but doubt lingered. Liam's silence was a shadow she couldn't shake. She'd invited him to a show next week, a last-ditch hope to bridge the gap. If he came, maybe they could salvage something. If not, she wasn't sure she could face that yet. As she exhaled smoke into the night, Miley felt a spark reignite. Shatter was just the start. She'd keep writing, keep performing, keep breaking the mold. The world could love her or hate her. She'd survive either way. But as she headed back to the studio, her heart whispered a quiet plea. "Liam, just show up." The Atlanta arena buzzed with anticipation, a sea of fans chanting Miley's name under flashing lights. At 21, Miley Cyrus stood backstage, her heart pounding like a drum. The Bangerz tour had been a wild ride, sold-out shows, screaming headlines, and a world grappling with her new identity. Tonight was the final show before a much-needed break, and the air crackled with stakes. She'd invited Liam Hemsworth, her maybe-still boyfriend, to this performance, a last hope to bridge the chasm growing between them. Her boots scuffed the floor, her outfit a riot of sequins and leather, her platinum hair slicked back. She was ready to burn the house down. Her producer, Jack, handed her a mic, his grin wide. "You're gonna kill it, Miley. That new track? It's a game changer." He meant Shatter, the grunge-laced anthem she'd recorded in Nashville. She'd added it to tonight's set list on a whim, a gut punch to the narrative that she was just a party girl. Her drawl came sharp as she nodded. "Damn right, Jack. Let's make him feel it." But her eyes scanned the VIP section, searching for Liam's familiar frame. Nothing yet. The stage erupted as she strode out, the crowd a tidal wave of screams. She tore through We Can't Stop and Wrecking Ball, her voice raw and commanding, her moves unapologetic. The fans were with her, their energy a lifeline, but the weight of Liam's absence pressed hard. When the opening chords of Shatter hit, the arena hushed. Miley gripped the mic, her voice low and haunting, then soaring. I'm the crack in your glass. I'm the truth you can't face. It was her soul laid bare, every doubt, every fight, every piece of herself she'd reclaimed. The crowd roared, but tears stung her eyes. She blinked them away, refusing to break. After the encore, she stumbled backstage, sweat-soaked and electric. Karen, her manager, was there, beaming. You owned it, Miley. They're calling it iconic already. But Miley's gaze darted past her, landing on a figure in the shadows. Liam. He stood there, flannel shirt and hesitant eyes, his Australian drawl soft. That was something else, Mile. Her heart lurched, hope and hurt colliding. You came, she said, her drawl thick. Thought you were done with me. They stepped into a quiet corner, the arena's hum fading. Liam rubbed his neck, struggling. I don't know this version of you. It's like you're leaving me behind. Miley's chest tightened. I'm not leaving you, Liam. I'm finding me. Can't you see that? His silence was answer enough. They stood there, two people who loved each other but couldn't fit anymore. I need you to try, she whispered. He nodded, but his eyes said he wasn't sure. Later, alone in her tour bus, Miley opened her journal. The headlines would keep coming: praise, hate, everything in between. Bangerz had changed the game, and Shatter was just the start. She scribbled, I'll keep breaking, keep rising, keep singing my truth. Liam might stay or go, but she'd survive. The girl from Tennessee was still in there, fused with the rebel she'd become. As the bus rolled toward the next city, Miley looked out at the stars. She wasn't just a star, she was a damn constellation, and no one could dim her light.